Several people throughout your life have turned to you in need of help. Bubba Smith turned to you when he needed help in the courtroom, and you were able to be there for him. Bart Starr, you were the first person he called when he got the head coaching job. He wanted your help up there. And George Plimpton, you know, when he needed the baseball game, he called you up. Why do you think you have been that go-to guy for so many people in your life?
Because I'm a glutton for punishment. Because I'll try anything. I'll even try coaching football at Georgia State University. I enjoy very difficult challenges. I always have. And I don't know if people sort of sense that and then call me because of it. I don't have any special talent. I'm not any smarter than anybody else. I'm certainly not bigger or stronger or any of those things or more talented. But I have a great joy and a great zest in life to try things that are considered impossible by other people and see if we can do it. And a lot of times I get knocked on my rear end, but sometimes we pull the things off, and that is so much fun. That's the greatest joy in life, is to do extremely difficult things, especially when you're doing them with other people that you come to know and love in what I call a huddle environment. In football, we happen to call it the huddle, but any sort of community action where we really care about each other and we include every kind of human being. We don't engage in racism or tribalism or sexism or any of that stuff. We just include the people that have earned a right to be there. And then we do these things that are so difficult, and it makes a big difference. It changes people's lives, and it gives all of us a great sense of warmth and love for each other.
Well, one of those challenges you accepted was probably one that you were rhyming to do. The 1972 exhibition baseball game you played against the Atlanta Braves.
That was fun.
You described in your book that catching a strikeout against Rico Carty caused you to lose your mind. How does that experience in the sport that was your first love compare to, say, running out to a sold-out stadium and hearing your name called out with the likes of, you know, Bart Starr or Johnny Unitas?
Wow. Well, it wasn't a strikeout, but it was a strike. It was a swinging strike, and Plimpton was the pitcher, and Rico was one of the best hitters in the National League. Great player. And George could actually throw a little bit, and he threw it. It was up and in, and Rico swung and missed. And I lost my mind. I became a bush leaguer, and I shook the ball in his face. And fortunately, he didn't club me with the bat, which is what he probably should have done. I weighed about 250, so it probably crossed his mind that I might not be better. I was embarrassed about it later. But anyhow, the next pitch, he drilled off the right field wall so hard it almost knocked the wall down. So we understood the difference in a major leaguer and the rest of us. It's hard to say what it was like. It was so much fun that it took my breath away just to be out there. To say that it was more fun than actually, I think it was, I can answer it. It was better to run on the field with John Unitas and Bart Starr, because I was actually pretty good at what I was supposed to do. I wasn't a very good baseball player. I had wanted to be, but actually being able to be in the huddle and be a real contributor, and the baseball thing was just an exhibition against the brave backups.
The title of your first book, or the book you co-authored with George Plimpton, One More July, the title refers to the desire to come back for one more season, to have one more pre-season training. Is your decision to come back to Georgia State and coach football again at this part of your career your desire for one more July?
Yeah, you are really well prepared, young man.
Thank you.
That's exactly what it is. You really surprised me. Here, after all these years, and I've had the privilege of just about everything you can do in our sport, except one thing: I've never started a program, never been a part of starting a program. Nobody does that by themselves, and I don't have that illusion. But to do it in my hometown, at a great university, where my wife earned a master's and a PhD, I've probably driven Carolyn Curry down here 300 times. While we were raising the children, she'd drop the kids at school. We loved Georgia State. And to get to start something that means a lot to an entire community, and especially a community of young people like you and others, that's what I'm supposed to do now, and it is my one more July this time.
Your college coach, Bobby Dodd, was famous for valuing education above anything else.
Yeah, he did.
This now being your fourth coaching position, has his influence affected the way you treat your student athletes?
In every detail. I had been warned by my high school counselor at College Park High, South Fulton County, don't try Georgia Tech, you have no chance. You have frolicked all the way through high school, and she was right, I had. But I went to Georgia Tech because it was the closest school to Agnes Scott. That's where Carolyn Newton was going to be. Now Carolyn Curry for the last 46 years. But I was so immature that I took on this monumental challenge for the wrong reasons. Once I got there, Coach Dodd warned us, you better go to class or you'll be sorry. I didn't believe that. So I cut a class. I ran up and down the west stands until I threw up, until I wept, and decided at some point that chemistry at 8 a.m. was a wonderful thing, and I never cut another class, ever. And that's the only reason I graduated from that brutal place. And I love Georgia Tech with all my heart. I owe Georgia Tech so much. But it was my football coach who loved me too much to allow me to self-destruct when I was too immature to see my own potential. And that's what I get to do for a bunch of student athletes myself, giving them not so subtle messages about what their potential really is.
Now you've taken on some pretty steep challenges. You tried to follow in Bobby Dodd's footsteps at Georgia Tech. You took on the head coaching job at Alabama, where the national championship is expected every year. You went to Kentucky, where basketball is the big sport, and football is, you have to sort of fight to get people there. How does the challenge of starting a program compare to those previous head coaching positions?
That's another great question. It compares in equal difficulty. You can't really follow Bobby Dodd or Bear Bryant. You can try, but you're not going to do it. You're never going to be that which they are remembered as having been. And that's not very good English, but I think people can understand what I'm saying. Here at Georgia State, as I've told my staff repeatedly, men, we are the Georgia State football tradition. So whatever there is here 40 years from now, it's going to depend in large measure on what happens here the first few years, and we are responsible for that. And accepting responsibility is one of the first primary facets of leadership. So it weighs heavily on me. I think I take this very seriously, and I think it's every bit as difficult and just as important as those other efforts that we made.